I don't feel like I'm going to get banned for talking about faith. Now this could have happened years ago, right? During all this stuff where it was like, well, yeah, I don't think gay marriage is something that I would endorse, right? Biblically, it doesn't make sense. I can say that now and nothing's going to happen. There might be some people in the comments who don't agree, and that's fine, right? But there's nothing wrong with having ideology differences.
Sure. That point in itself is so fascinating because if you think about that particular issue,
right,
there's like a window of when you quote unquote can't say that.
Right.
And that window was like 2011 to 2021. Anytime before that, hey, that was a mainstream opinion.
Yeah.
Even even Democrats, even lefties were like, yeah, no, like they didn't support it. California voted to block it back in like 2009 or something like that.
Yeah.
California.
Yep.
And then you hit this point where the Overton window has shifted so much. And it's like, oh no, like you can't even say that. You're hateful. You're a bigot. You're this, you're that. And it's like, this is the global mainstream opinion.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
By far. This is like a whole new concept, in fact, in human history. And so I just think it's fascinating how those shifts happen. And I think it's fascinating that you could, if you wanted to say that there's infinite genders and that kids should be able to pick their own gender and sex is just assigned at birth and men can get pregnant and women can have penises and whatever, there's no threat. There's no risk to your accounts.
None. Yeah.
Right? There's no risk at all. But you're like, I believe Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
I think marriage is between a man and a woman. Oh my, I think that's crazy. That says to me so much of just where we are at this time in history. I'm just like, that is fascinating. You can take something which is actually a niche fringe worldview and you can make it seem like it's the most popular and dominant worldview. Not only that, but anything else is beyond the pale. Anything else is like horrible, evil. Anyone who even dares to espouse that, even if they've got arguments and they can articulate their position, they're a terrible person and they need to be cast out. So it's very fascinating how these things shift around.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great deception, right? I mean, we live in a world where if you're a Christian, you believe Satan's, got his hand on a lot of different things. And so it's not a surprise, but what the surprise is how often I still get asked that. And I'm like, I literally have no fear.
Yes.
I mean, number one, because once again, I'm going to say what I believe and I don't really care what happens. And I think that also comes when, you've quote unquote made it and you have leverage where it's like, okay, cancel it. Like whatever. My life's, I got businesses. My life's still fine.
I have a theory on this as well.
Okay.
Because a lot of people talk about FU money.
I don't have the way they talk about it.
By the way, but I think FU money, I think the concept is mostly a cope.
Okay.
Because most people who have FU money are still cowards when it comes to discussing a lot of this stuff.
Got it.
And there are a lot of people who are open to who they're not wealthy, they're not whatever. I think it's FU character. I think if you're a coward and you become rich, you're just a rich coward. You're not going to suddenly become brave and courageous.
Right.
Right. And if you're someone who is brave and courageous when you're broke, you will continue to be, even if you become wealthy and popular and whatever the case may be. I think the FU money thing has been disproven a zillion times because there are celebrities out there who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, some of them billion. There's billionaires who are utterly terrified.
Yep, insecure.
To say so many of the things that we have said on this podcast, even if they agree with us, they are utterly terrified to say it. And it's interesting because you have people make the same excuse at all levels. It was the same during the COVID. Why aren't you guys speaking out about mandates or whatever? It's because at a lower level, financially, people are like, I can't speak up because I can't afford to lose what I have. Mm-hmm. And then you have people with millions or billions who are like, I can't speak up because I can't afford to lose what I have. It doesn't change. It's actually the same thing. Everyone's, oh, well, I've got a family or I've got kids or I've got a job. Or I'm like, so does everyone else, bro. It's true though. Like it's always been the case. And so I think it's really a character and a courage thing. And so I don't think it's just a matter of, oh, cool. Well, I'm doing well or I'm self-employed. Because I'll get people, oh, well, because you have to remember, even like when I started speaking up on this stuff, I wasn't where I am now.
No.
I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have like a big, I was just like, man, this is the right thing to do. And I'm having thoughts in my head which not a lot of other people are articulating. And I think it's important. All these different issues, I don't think these are things that are just inconsequential. I think they're very consequential for our society, for our culture, for our children and the future.
Sit back and just,
it's like, hey, this is a big deal that's going on here.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. And some of these things are fundamental shifts. If you're saying, again, coming back to the 2020 to 2022 time period, you want to lock everybody in their houses. You want to tell people their jobs aren't essential. You want to shut down businesses by the millions. You want to make people destitute. You want to force masks on people's faces by mandate, by kids. You want to pull kids out of school for 1 or 2 years. You want to do that. I was like, wait, at no point in my lifetime, or as I'm aware of in previous decades before I was born, has this happened.
Well, I'll tell you too, even for me, and this didn't put me over the edge. I was already over it, but like, I just remember we started traveling again, and we had my son, and my son has special needs. And at the time, I want to say he might've been 3 years old-ish.
Okay.
He can't keep the mask on his face. And like the pilot or the airline people are just like, he's got to wear the mask. He's got to wear the mask. And I'm like, this is literally the dumbest thing ever.
Yes.
Like you're thinking he's a problem. And my wife was getting heated.
Of course.
And I'm like, well, just, and they're expecting them to wear a mask for 5 hours,
yes,
on a flight to Hawaii.
And they can't explain why.
No. So for me, it's not that experience changed anything, but it's just like that pretty much encapsulates what that time was like.
It does. Man, I've got a lot of stories from that time.
Yeah.